New York City candidate Zohran Mamdani has taken the race by storm, sparking intrigue far beyond the city itself. Zohran, a socialist, has pledged to freeze rent, tax billionaires, and provide state owned grocery stores, which has been worrying the establishment. Mamdani is polling extremely close to the Democratic establishment and favourite Andrew Cuomo, although some polls actually have Mamdani ahead. Cuomo, who has been involved in many scandals, including sexual harassment, is being backed by big corporate donations. He is also a fervent supporter of Israel. Mamdani, on the other hand, has been a firm pro-Palestine advocate who has been met with the Corbyn treatment. He is being smeared as anti-Semitic. Stop Anti-Semitism, which is actually just a Zionist organisation, said this. For 2 years, Jewish New Yorkers have endured weekly marches calling for their annihilation. Zohran Mamdani wouldn't stop this. He'd amplify it. He is no friend for the Jewish people and would be a disaster for NYC. So-called sensible centrist liberal and human rights lawyer Stephen Goldstein tweeted, I wish the NYC mayoral primary had different candidates. As a feminist who helped to pass several pro-women laws, I'm well aware of the issues with Andrew Cuomo, but Zohran Mamdani is an existential threat to the Jewish people. Cuomo over Mamdani in what's now a two-person race. I'm sorry, but you cannot call yourself a feminist if you're backing Cuomo. Washington correspondent Corey Walker claims Mamdani is an extremist anti-Semite. He claims that he wants to stand up for NYC Jews while defending those who call for their annihilation. Wow. The Democratic majority for Israel released an entire statement calling on New Yorkers not to vote for Mamdani. New York City is home to the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, making up about 16% of the electorate in the Democratic primary. With anti-Semitism on the rise and violent attacks targeting Jews, including recent incidents that have left people burned and killed, it is more important than ever for local governments to do all they can to protect their Jewish communities. At the same time, we need our leaders to be unequivocal. Hate-fueled rhetoric demonizing Israel leads to attack against Jews. While many running for mayor have made clear they will do all they can to protect Jewish New Yorkers and combat anti-Semitism, others like Zohran Mamdani have not. Just this week, Mamdani defended the phrase, globalize the intifada. Let's be clear about what globalize the intifada means. Killing Jews. This is not a slip-up. It is endorsing a phrase that leads to murder, terrorism, and death. This is an anti-Semitic phrase. No question. Zohran Mamdani is an anti-Israel extremist who will put Jewish New Yorkers at risk. This is all in addition to his refusal to acknowledge Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state. New York Democrats must reject him on Tuesday. Now, that wasn't the entire statement, but those were the most egregious bits. I mean, it's pretty disgusting, and I think it's a disgusting smear campaign against a man who not only is polling second amongst Jewish New Yorkers, but is standing for justice. In the statement, they mentioned Mamdani used the phrase globalize the intifada, which has been weaponized to apparently mean kill all Jewish people. This is a lie. Intifada translates to struggle, and the term globalize the intifada simply means oppressed people worldwide should stand against their oppressors. There were two intifadas in Palestine. The first was peaceful, yet Israel fired on innocent people, killing them. Ultimately, the second intifada led Palestinians using armed struggle, given the violence from Israel. This has been twisted into the idea of people taking arms against Jewish people. That is not the case. Mamdani has also, unsurprisingly, faced Islamophobia during the campaign. This was one of Andrew Cuomo's ads that was bought and paid for by DoorDash. So as you can see, if you compare the images on the campaign ad and the real image of Mamdani, they've increased the size of his beard, clearly trying to depict him as a scary Muslim. Lewis, there's two scenarios here, right? Scenario one, Mamdani is an anti-establishment Democrat who wants to take on the rich, improve lives of working-class New Yorkers, and stands against genocide. Or scenario two, that he's just a horrible anti-Semitic individual. Which one is true?
Oh God, he's got to be a complete anti-Semite, right? Just because he won't visit Israel as the first place he goes to as soon as he gets elected as mayor. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that clip? By chance, did you see that?
I've seen the debate clips where they say, like their statement on Israel, and he's like, "I believe that Israel should be equal in the laws." Like, but should they be a Jewish state? And it's like
There was
this.
another debate. There was another debate where all the candidates were asked, like, "Where's the first place that you're going to visit if you win?" Because it's very traditional that the mayor of New York would go somewhere, and everyone was just like, Cuomo was like, "Israel, Israel, I'm going to go to Tel Aviv straight away," and it came across as this really weird moment because it kind of ties into that idea as well, like the whole people pledging their allegiance to Israel thing, which again I don't buy into. It just comes across that way. Israel is creating its own anti-Semitism by making people want to appeal so much to Jewish people to win that vote over. And Mamdani's response was basically, I'm going to be right here in New York. I'm going to be with New York people. That is what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be going anywhere. Great response. But yeah, sorry, there's been so many viral clips from this moment. But yeah, no, again, it's just ridiculous. It's the same old line. The beard picture of him looking, more Islamic, whatever it might be, they're trying to get off there, is just ridiculous. And as well, they had another one where he's been pictured maybe once or twice going to the mosque in his traditional garb. I don't know the correct name of it. And they've circulated lots of leaflets with him wearing that too, despite the fact that 99.9% of all pictures of him online is him wearing a nice flashy suit. Again, just furthering Islamophobia. Um, it's just the same old tricks. The fact that we've got some massive pro-Israel candidate who can't stop talking about Israel, who has faced allegations of sexual assault, who actually, as Mamdani said in a debate too, actually used his lawyers to try and sue for the gynecological records of women that accused him. That's who Cuomo is. The fact that he is the candidate just shows the Dems have learned absolutely nothing, that he is even allowed to stand after being disgracefully did he technically resign? I can't remember when Kathy Hochul took over. It's just so stupid that we're back in this situation, that it's just the same old candidates running again. And Mamdani's great, but I think part of the reason why he's doing so great as well is because they've got Cuomo as the person who is the leading Dem, traditional candidate. It's so ridiculous. So it helps Mamdani in so many ways. Um, I wish him all the best. His policies so far are great. If you actually go onto his website, which I'd really encourage, because we need to remember sometimes we need to step away from the social media vibes of, how somebody feels across camera, which his game online has been absolutely fantastic and in debates and interviews. But his policies as well are actually, I don't know, I'd say they're much further along most democratic socialists. He is calling for community owned grocery stores in New York because groceries are so expensive, essentially kind of like locally, not, well, when I say nationalizing, he's not taking control of any. He just wants to establish them, essentially, to make them community owned, which is much further than a lot of people are willing to go. He wants to do rent freezes. He wants to make public transport completely free for the buses across New York. He has so many great and fantastic policies, and this is why the establishment are scared of him, because this involves going after them in tax, but only a tiny amount. I think he wants to tax anyone over, I can't remember the limit, but it's basically a 1% tax on the richest people. I think it might be over $1 million of income for New Yorkers. So again, a tiny, tiny, tiny amount. That's $10,000. So of course he's got the establishment quaking in their boots. But is he an anti-Semite? No, it's just quite easy to say that about anybody who supports Palestine, but especially when it's a Muslim immigrant who's running for office in America. It's the new cliche now, isn't it?
So I saw a recent poll by Stats for Lefties, and it had Mamdani ahead, which, given all of the attacks, this doesn't really work anymore. I think it worked. I mean, look, in the Corbyn years, it clearly worked, right? But I think ever since the 7th of October, and ever since the amplification of weaponizing anti-Semitism, where even the faintest criticism of Israel gets you branded as some kind of Jew hater, people are switching off to that. And I think what people are really understanding is this is a New York City race, yet the entire debate, I would say, has been framed around your allegiance to Israel. And the debate you were discussing where they said, where would you go first? And the debate I was talking about where they said, should we defend a Jewish state? It's like we should be talking, or they should be talking about the interests of New Yorkers. Now, of course, that includes Jewish New Yorkers, but it includes everybody. And no one's talked about Islamophobia. In fact, that Mamdani has obviously been on the end of Islamophobia. But at the end of the day, he's one that's talking about class. He's talking about the bread and butter issues. The Democratic establishment have zero answers to it all. And
Can I
once
just
again, just like with Jeremy Corbyn, this is all they have.
I just want to jump in here with this as well because I was saying this the other day. The way the pro-Israel people treat Israelis is what we get accused of when we're being called woke, right? Imagine if you inserted any other group of people into the appreciation, into the defense, into the uplifting that the pro-Israel stance gets. That is woke. If we were doing that, that
Mm,
would be completely and utterly woke. But wokeism is essentially okay for them. The idea that there are, anti-Semitism task force, but again, this is all a shroud. They're just using that to, push the limits of their power. It's all like Trump doesn't actually fucking care.
mm, mm.
But yeah, imagine if there was, an anti-racist task force in Colombia, it would be labeled as woke. Can you imagine if they were if Biden was going through visas for people who were giving very hard right opinions online on social media and canceling student visas for people being too hard right or being too racist online, it would be called woke. But when you do it in the defense of anti-Semitism, it's completely fine. It's wokeism. Essentially,
Mm.
what is they're doing? It's not
It,
essentially, it is. It's literal wokeism.
it's also the worst kinds of people are suddenly concerned with anti-Semitism. People like Lawrence Fox, who've said some
Ugh.
disgusting racist stuff before. People like Trump, who has literal Nazis in his cabinet. I think that Pete Hegseth is a fucking Nazi, right? There's so many horrible reactionary racists are then suddenly concerned about anti-Semitism, right? And it's not because they're concerned about anti-Semitism. It's because there is a cohort there's actually a split on the far right. One essence, you've got the pure neo-Nazis on the far right, which is hate Israel because they hate Jewish people. But on the other end, you've got the far right that love Israel because they want Britain modelled in the same way as Israel, because they want an ethno state and they love the fact that Israel is trying to be a Jewish only state, and they basically want the same for Israel. So they like that. And it's not that they like Jewish people. So when people say, oh, that's anti Semitic, it's like, bro, you're really, really racist and you're calling out leftists who've historically been anti racist. You're saying they're anti Semitic.
Yeah.
You don't care about Jewish people. You're just like, you want to defend Israel because you want to replicate over here. It's
Yeah.
so, so
Did you see the
transparent.
recent Tucker Carlson interview?
I saw a clip
Wh-
of it with this is Ted Cruz, right?
Yeah, with
I
Ted
haven't seen
Cruz.
the
Yeah,
full one.
yeah, where he completely, Tucker Carlson completely made a mockery of him. But
Mm,
when Tucker Carlson's talking about APAC, he's doing it from an anti-Semitic point. Like he is fully in the Jews control the world type of stuff, the same as Candace Owens, right? But obviously, we will repeat the same things, but we mean it in different ways. When we're talking about APAC having influence and how that works, we mean it in a completely different way to the way Tucker Carlson does
mm.
it. So, I just advise anybody when you see clips of Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens, there are people out there who might sound like people who are not anti-Semitic, but they are. It's the wolves in sheep clothing
Mm.
type of thing, and nobody should be praising Tucker Carlson right now for doing the most basic amount of journalism ever.
And
Yeah.
and it gets weaponized against us though, because they'll say, "Oh, you're agreeing with them people." And it's like, okay, well, like APAC exists whether you like it or not. It's a fact, right? And
Mm.
literally point out the fact that so many politicians are bought by APAC isn't anti-Semitic. Even if someone who is anti-Semitic uses that point, it's not because they care about money and politics. By the way, they're happy about that. When we say it, we care about money and politics. It's for different reasons, but they'll weaponize that and say, "Well, you agree with this bad person, therefore you're bad." It's kind of like guilt by association.
Support independent media. Support social justice that's there on social media. Thank you. Turn left.